Jon, thank you so much for joining me.
Great to be here.
Absolute pleasure. I was geeking out just walking onto the lot this morning. Can you set the scene as to where we are sitting right now? Because I walked in here, you see the big Universal logo.
Yes.
I've never seen more buttons in my life. But this is truly amazing. This is only something I've ever seen on like DVD features.
Yeah.
I've always wanted to walk into one of these rooms. So talk about where we are right now.
Well, we're on the Universal lot here. This is where we edit, actually not in this exact room. We edit just like down the street there. But we do our mixing in some of these buildings and in a place like this. We actually, for the feature, we do some of the like Rec 709 stuff and the remix here. But the actual like feature, we have a bigger room, an actual like movie theater space that has very similar to this. And like a ping pong table and a couch. But this is where the magic happens. This is where we sit all day long.
The ping pong table is a classic thing in cinema.
Yeah, everyone thinks they're great at it.
Yeah.
Until they meet me. And we put them in their place now.
There's a famous photo of I think Robert Redford and Paul Newman playing ping pong
in the mix.
I think it was on Sundance, but it's just cool to like think about that. But obviously, I want to do a timestamp as to where we are. So I've seen the film 2 days ago. I absolutely loved it. I'm not just saying that because we're sitting here. It's a remarkable cinematic achievement. You should be very proud of what you did. You and Alice, just your dynamic together and creating this intimate yet epic story that really kind of goes through all these different emotions. But where are we in the process now? Is the film fully locked? Is the version I saw the finished film? And when did you lock it?
Yeah, we locked it probably about 3 weeks ago now.
Wow.
And the last piece of it was VFX coming in. We were doing the mix on a big mix stage just across the way. And so we were refining all those things. And that was because score was still coming in. They had just recorded the orchestra. So we layer that in and we're listening to how that bridges into the music orchestrations, which had come in maybe like few weeks before that. So trying to get our movie back, because there's a version where we are watching and we live with for a long time, for many months, and we're screening that, and we're getting our little fine edits in and working it out, and then we get it to a place like, okay, our picture is locked, and then all of a sudden all this new stuff starts to come in, and you're just trying to like, all right, this can either one up it or this can like pull us further from what our intention is, and you could ruin this movie at any moment, and so it's all of that last minute stuff that tailoring is the most critical moment. Even something that we had planned on in a scene can get ruined by if I'm not paying attention, if my production team's not paying attention, it can ruin it. You know, there's a scene where Elphaba and Glinda come and Glinda comes in for a hug, and in the mix, I saw that there was the hug sound was like soft. It wasn't. It just felt like a hug, and I was like, no. On the day, it was like a stronger hug. It was like surprising to Glinda, and so I was like, we need that. We need the stronger hug. So they grabbed a stronger hug, and you can now feel it, and it changes the whole intention of that moment. If just the mix is off, and if the sound and the musical, if the score is overpowering and the sound effects are overpowering, and then you have a musical number. The audience is like, they give up and they give away. So every detail is like it's the final version of the script, really.
Yeah, and we're going to dive into that in this conversation because I want to talk about editing, because obviously you have live singing, and so in terms of like mixing that in with the sound effects and the sound design, I mean, it's really remarkable to see. I want to start off a little bit just to kind of about your history, because obviously we're sitting here full circle. I know you've talked about this before, but seeing Wicked in San Francisco at a pivotal moment in your life with your mom. I know you recently went back and visited that theater. You took your mom with you. Talk about that full circle. Obviously, you were watching that as an audience member, realizing that you wanted to make a film of it one day. Was there a scene where it happened when you were watching it going, that's the scene that sparked the cinematic aspect of this for me?
I think I really appreciate being sort of patient zero to it. I had no expectations going into it. It was just a musical that they were trying out, Stephen Schwartz's new musical. And it was at a time in my life where I'm in film school. So I'm thinking about frame. I'm thinking about experience. I'm thinking about the sound. I'm looking at the colors. I'm looking at all this stuff. I'm also in a time in my life where I'm learning about myself. I'm away from my family. I am in LA pursuing this dream that it seems impossible. My friends that I was so close with, that I used to make movies with, we don't talk anymore. And so there's a lot of questions of who am I? What did those friendships mean? What did my family mean? What were the stories that they told us as kids? Oh, you're so great, you're so talented. You get dropped into like way more talented people in a city that everyone wants the same thing. You're no longer the unique one. So I was going through all of that when I sat down and said, okay, let's see this. And when Glinda comes down from the bubble was one of those moments. I was like, I was brought back to Oz. I was brought back to watching Wizard of Oz. I was brought back to this dream that we all had while watching that movie, of the possibilities of movies, or the possibilities of being somewhere else. And I remember her, and then her joke when she comes in, it's good to see me, isn't it? And they sort of twist it, and it just like it grabbed me, like, oh, this is not your mother's fairy tale. This is something for us. And then to meet Elphaba, someone who felt like she always had to prove herself. I felt very similar to that. And Wizard and I was right there with Elphaba. So I remember that. And I remember, in my mind, I saw the Yellow Brick Road, but I don't think they actually show a Yellow Brick Road in the show. I mean, that's the thing about theater. You're filling in these gaps. So my imagination's firing on all things. So
you're also editing too, like, because you're looking around.
Totally. So in my mind, I'm filling in all the gaps, and I'm seeing the movie when Scarecrow comes in at the end, and I don't know if we need to spoil this, but does a certain thing and knocks on a certain thing, and you're like, what? Like, it blew my mind.
Yeah.
And so I kept those. And I went back to that experience often in making this movie, even deep in production, even deep in, even in conversations I've had a couple months ago, of the things that I needed to protect as the sort of innocent viewer. And that was really, really helpful. But it blew my mind. I never thought I would get to direct that movie. But I guess that was not the case.
What was it like to bring your mom back to that theater? And obviously, you talk about your parents as well in The Wizard of Oz, and the feeling that connection that your parents have to that film.
It was pretty emotional to go back to the Current Theater. I hadn't been there in a long time, so I even don't fully remember like the space or what it feels like. So, and then my mom was there. I'd just eaten at the restaurant. I was like, hey, I'm doing this interview at the Current Theater. You should come with me. And so we went, and as soon as we walked in, we had season tickets to that theater, so she knew exactly where our seats were, and I just sat down and was like, oh yeah, the frame, like, it came back, and so it was very emotional. You know, I grew up in this beautiful time of American storytelling in the 80s, in the 90s, with Star Wars and E.T. and Walt Disney Animation in their golden years again, going to Disneyland. Like, it still had the Skyway where you could float over it. Michael Jackson was making me believe in magic, and it was sort of the modern musical to me. MTV was on, going. It was just this beautiful time, and I was in the Silicon Valley, where dreams and hopes were all around us, and engineers were revered. They weren't on the cover of magazines. They were not rich. This was a farm town with Stanford. It was about seeing what the future looked like, and we were in this little Chinese restaurant, and I'm doing my homework in the bar, and I'm hearing all these stories about these companies that people are starting, and there's this thing called the internet, and you can type in anycompany.com and you could go to it. You know, it was the discovery at that time was just so fast. Digital video, those customers gave me computers and editing systems that I shouldn't have at 14 years old, that got me way ahead of learning these tools. And then right when I get the chance in my life to tell the story of the American myth, you can look back at what America is, and you're like, I felt like I was sort of clicking my heels 3 times, and you're looking at your home, and you're like, do I recognize this place anymore? Is this the place that I grew up in? That's a hard thing for a storyteller to then, oh, this is my moment to pay honor to this place, and I don't almost recognize it anymore. And that is what Wicked is. It's the movie, too, is their adult selves looking back at their childhood fairy tales, and it's shattered. And who do you become at this point? And so the making of this movie, and I had many discussions with Ariana and Cynthia about this very moment in our own personal lives as well, when you either are deciding to be with someone for the rest of your life, or you're having kids, or you're whatever, in every form, you are you're revealing who you are at this moment, and so this movie was a process in figuring that out, in what we're trying to say, and who do we want to become, and what story of our home is it even worth our home? Should we just pack our bags and say, call it a day? Or are we fighting for something? And does that thing still exist within all the complicated parts of this? And while making this movie, we were just digging closer and closer to that, and not by politicking and all that stuff, by actual personal relationship between these two women who see the world very differently and the way to change it very differently. So it was very personal in that way.
That's a perfect transition, because I want to show a clip, and before we get to it, I just want to set this up, because this is a clip where Elphaba and Glinda are meeting for the first time in For Good.
Yeah.
And I was in the middle of the movie, and I was taking notes, and this is not a lie. I literally have this written down. I said, I miss Elphaba and Glinda together, because as you'll see at the beginning of the film, for the audience, they're separated, and we're kind of learning where they are after the fallout of the first Wicked film and that story.
Yeah.
But we want them to come back together.
Yeah.
We're longing as an audience for that feeling.
Yeah.
And then, I'm not joking, like 10 seconds later, this scene that we're about to see happens.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, like, that is, to me, brilliant filmmaking, because that we're longing for this moment, but you're waiting for the right moment to do it.
Yeah.
Talk about that idea of, like, it's a collaboration with the audience. I know Steven Spielberg speaks about that a lot, and like, we're collaborating with your movie. You're trusting us. But talk about that idea of, like, our longing and when to hit that moment, and then we'll show the clip.
Yeah, I think that's the most important part of this process is the drip in which we're giving you the story. We're holding your hand, and we often talk about the audience wants to know they're in good care. And if a transition or a move emotionally doesn't feel like we're caring about them, or that we know what we're doing, if it doesn't feel confident, that's where we lose an audience. That's where I get lost in a movie. I'm like, oh, they just did this scene. I don't know. there's no purpose to this scene. So every scene, we're trying to make sure that step is on purpose, even if it's the opposite of what you expect, that you feel like, okay, we're still in a safe zone, or, oh my gosh, we feel out of control, but this has to be for some sort of reason, and you spin it, or it has to be for some sort of reason, and you let them fall. Like, in Defying Gravity, you let her fall out that window. That shocks the audience at a point when they think they know exactly where you are. They know the song, they know what's supposed to happen. And I love that moment, because we're like, no, we're going to take that, we're going to take it away from the audience. We have earned it at this moment. Let her fall, and let them be in our hands, because we're gonna carry them to that next plateau. We're gonna make it just as climactic as you expect it in the show and in the song that you know so well, but we're going to deliver it in a different way. And it's similar in movie 2. It's a little more difficult, because we know we have to do some legwork before we get them together. And we did move that space back and forth a little bit to try to find the right place. There is a intellectual place that it fits. I mean, you can look at a script and say, oh, here's where it's supposed to be. But feeling is very different. A look can make you feel, can shorten up a time, or it can extend a time of how long it feels. And so we just had to find the right place for that, and the right story beats that would build to that moment. But we want you to feel that yearning. You want to feel what they're feeling. Maybe not at first, maybe not at scene 2 or scene 3, at scene 4, but we want to start to inch at it at scene 4. And so we have it on the board, and we're literally like moving it, and we're looking at it, and we're like, what is the audience feeling here? We should be feeling here. We should feel distracted here, but then we remember it right here. And then right when you're like, okay, what do we do now? That happens. If you don't have that catch, if they're not there at that scene, and we've done it where it comes like a scene later, and you're like, no, this is too late. How do we crunch?
So does this surprise you that I was 10 seconds early to that moment? Like, in the sense of, like, I was waiting for it.
Yeah.
So like obviously you knew that's all orchestrated and calculated in that way. I mean, I'll show the notes at the end of the interview, but I literally have that written down. So I want to show this scene, because this was this gave me chills, because I was waiting for this to happen. Let's take a look.
Yeah.
By the glorification of our wizard, Glinda the Good and Prince Piero di Galara join hands in unification.
Do I have everything I need? No, I need hearing, please.
Oh, the bats. We could talk
Thank you.
hours about the bats.
Something
Design about the bats.
I wish we had like 4 hours, man.
I know. We should do it.
We should. I honestly could break down.
Hope itself.
We could do an entire interview just on cinematography.
How he controls the head with the figures. We have a whole theory of how he did that.
Oh my gosh.
These decorations, oh my gosh, the designers did not know how to do wedding decorations. They were all dudes, VFX dudes. I was like, guys, don't crowd it.
It's incredible.
The pink lights, did it make sense that there was a pink light in there? All these searchlights, very Batman.
I need something that's cute. Just give me a clock tick.
So here it is. Miss Glinda and Elphaba together. Right when I wrote that, Elphaba comes to the balcony.
Oh, that's nice.
I literally wrote, I was just taking notes during the movie. That's why it's terrible handwriting. But
Come in before the monkeys spot you.
you start crying again, man.
Alphaba.
Galinda.
Get in. Go.
The shadows during their fight.
Oh yeah.
So cool.
4 days prior, this room was like mint green. I was like, this is just, it looks like toothpaste. We gotta
Really?
repaint it, so they had to repaint it. It was crazy.
Alfie.
That sound.
That's real life.
That's the hug?
Careful. Your dress.
The scene used to take place in a bathroom at a show.
What? That's insane.
Working with the girls, we found this space and the tension for this.
I still can't believe you get around on that
Like
old
on the
thing.
show, this was supposed to be like a joke. You get the joke. But they were like, it doesn't feel right. Why would they?
True.
So they had to find it as a bridge instead. Sorry, we'll talk about this when we're done.
No, I'm
Are you
Just giving you
alright?
insight.
I'm fascinated.
I just want
And it's the music from when she put
That
the
means a lot to me.
flower in her hair in movie 1.
If anyone
Yes.
discovers you.
I know.
John Powell.
John Powell killed it.
You never saw me. I was never here. Do you understand?
No, I can't bear this anymore. I'm taking you to see the wizard.
Absolutely not.
Yes.
No! This is between the wizard and I.
And so set is
I
basically
understand, but you have
built
to trust me. I
for
know
Girl
how
in
to
the
talk to
Bubble
him,
because
and
we have
maybe I
those
can help
pockets
work
of how
something out.
to move the camera and walls to fall back. So it's almost like a puppet
Wow.
theater.
And this was green.
It was like it looked like a Miami drug house 4 days prior to the shooting this.
Wow. If you don't mind, I'm going to bring up something we talked about
Yeah.
off camera. Something as simple as a hug.
Yeah.
And how you're thinking about the sound of that and the impact that'll have on the audience. I want to point something like that out to people who watch films because these are little details that are so important to the immersion of what we feel.
Yeah.
Talk about can you reference that hug that you were referring to? Yeah.
Well, one, I think you only have 2 access points to an audience member. You have picture, the flashing lights, and you have the sound. The sound is literally half the experience, and you can do so much in the sound. It can change the tone of a scene. If the clock is ticking, ticking, in the scene with Morrible, that grinds at your, and whether you know it or not, it doesn't matter. You're feeling that. And a scene like this, what is the air like? How windy is it? No matter what you see, if you hear wind, you fill in the gaps yourself. And so even when you think you're done with the cut of the movie, now you're putting real sounds in there and the sounds are getting deeper and you're layering them. What do you hear more? What do you prioritize? Something like the hug was missing that the sort of the big jolt of the surprise of that hug. When I saw it in one of the passes, it was a soft hug. It just felt like a hug. And it was so gentle and so nice. It was like, oh wow, this is really warm. But it missed the tension between the two. They weren't ready for this hug yet. It's something that we talked about with the girls a lot when we were rehearsing it. That like we would feel uncomfortable. It's like seeing an ex lover. It's like, do we know each other? We know each other so well. I'm here to like take care of you, but I'm not. So I don't know where I'm supposed to be, and so this space was very important for them, and yet Glinda may have a different perspective of that. Like, oh, you're my friend, let's go, which sort of sets who they are up. It tells everything you need to know about them. They're still the same people, and in movie 1, when they walk into the dorm, they're separate. But that hug, that is a necessary conflict. And so I asked our designer John Marquis to like give me the invasion hug. Sorry, I'm hitting the mic. Give me the that it invades her space, and that actually changes the moment. Now, she realizes, sorry, was that too close? Without saying one word, and then they back up and they have a lot of space. Like, I'm not sure you talk to somebody that far, but that's what it felt right for them. So those little details go a long way. How does that door open when she swings open? Is it it's a door of opportunity, or is it a door that like is hard to open? Is it a heavy door, a light door? All those things, all those questions come into play.
And I want to shout out John Powell, who did the incredible score for the film, obviously combined with Stephen Schwartz's incredible music. But one thing you pointed out when we were watching that just now, and we can talk about this vaguely, is like is inserting these themes back into moments that are callbacks to other sequences. And again, these are a lot of an audience's interpretation or watching a film is subconscious. They know why they're feeling it. And I know I brought that Sidney Lumet book with me, but I always think of 12 Angry Men. And how he changed the lenses throughout the film to make you feel more claustrophobic as you're in the room with the characters. These are all subtle choices that we feel. But talk about like laying in John Powell's score and kind of how those themes come back to give us a feeling, even though we might not notice it, we feel it.
Yeah, I always love the quote, like, design isn't just what it looks like or feels like, it's how it works. That the underpinnings of the engineering of it is it is not just technical. These are found layers of how our human brain works, and this exploration of humanity that actually makes us find these little pick points, and we use them in the movie throughout. Color, even just seeing yellow. A brick road like immediately evokes something. What color the fire is evokes something. The heat of it, depending on its intensity, the color is what determines that. So we're always thinking that. And John Powell and when you're doing a musical, it's even more complicated than just a regular movie, because the score commands a certain layer in the movie, and they're sort of intertwined. In a musical, this boundary is removed. You have music that is a part of the story itself. And not a lot of people think of this, because sometimes they think, a musical, you just put the musical numbers in, get the songwriters, and it is like fully in the DNA of it. So
it's narratively driven.
It emerges from the storytelling. And I think that's why I love when people see this movie, they're like, it doesn't even feel like a musical. That's like the goal for me. Like, it's not a musical. It's using music to help get inside these characters, get deeper into them. And so Stephen Schwartz is a brilliant music writer, lyricist, and he's built these beautiful sort of ebbs and flows of music with themes that have carried on throughout, whether we know it or not. When you hear those 3 notes of defying gravity, you feel power. But played at a moment of weakness, you feel maybe shame, or you feel the distance between what she was and where she is. When you hear inklings of the monkey theme, when she's alone in her layer and she's sort of trying to figure out what to do, maybe you feel a bubbling up of a new form that she's going to be birthed into. These are all talked about. So Powell and Schwartz, a very interesting combination, because Schwartz did the music and Powell and Schwartz did the score. And we wanted that way because I think I wanted to expand the language of the music, and I wanted someone who had done a lot of movie scores to know how to blend that together. But it took someone with no ego to work with Schwartz, who had to have no ego on this, to work together. So Schwartz educated him on all the themes that were already made. And then he had to be open enough for Powell to create new themes, both riffing off of what we had, but also new themes that would be a part of this. Like in movie 1, there's a theme for sort of like Elphaba's childhood wounds. When she sees the doll, when she's a grown-up later, that the wizard gives her, we revisit that. When she's falling out of the attic, we revisit these themes. In movie 2, we will revisit those themes. And so that combination is really, and if the score overpowers the music, then you have no place to go with music. It doesn't ebb from it. It feels almost like, the score did the job of this song, so why are we doing this song? So you have to still give the priority to the songs. They exist. So these bubbles, and then how do you actually like bridge ourselves? How do you gray that area Does it have an intro? Does it have a different intro than the song? And they always have to negotiate, when does the song begin and the score end? And what we're trying to do, what I have to do really with all of them is say, that doesn't exist. That plane doesn't exist. We just fall into it. So that was always, and each song requires a different intro. Girl in the Bubble, for instance, whether we can talk about this yet or not, I'll be vague about it, but there was a certain entry.
This is a
to
new
the
song.
It's a new song.
Yeah.
There's a certain entry to that song. And that might be on the album version. And our deal is Schwartz can do whatever he wants on the album, and I get to do whatever I want in the movie. And that keeps sort of like the little choices, the personal choices, sort of sacred to him and sacred to me, because I know what the experience needs to be. So maybe you don't have any intro. Maybe that is score that sort of fades down and lets us breathe and have some space before her voice, because that's also an instrument, her voice is the one that leads us to the song, which
Bridge.
expresses what's inside. We are always sort of figuring that out, and each song is a different solution.
It's absolutely incredible. One thing I found really interesting about watching, particularly part two, For Good, and obviously with the mirrors and reflections are a really interesting part of the storytelling. Obviously, there's a thematic to that idea of looking in a mirror and seeing the reflection that you see back. Can you speak about mirrors and reflections, and also glass is a big part of the storytelling as well, the cracked glass that we just saw in that scene. Why are mirrors and reflections so important to you as a storyteller in this?
Well, I always saw it as reflections and distortions, because I think that that's a lot about what this is about how you see yourself, what window are you seeing to the world, and what happens when that shatters and you have to rebuild that. We played a lot, and it's also this idea of the matte painting from the original, movie and other movies that have created Oz. There's always been this sort of plane between us and Oz, and when we talked about we want Oz to feel immersive in this movie. If we're going to believe the emotions of this relationship and be as intimate as we need to be, we have to break that this place is a dream. And so this idea of breaking the matte painting and going inside of where it is on the other side of that glass. I also feel like, there's a prism in that glass, and that in my mind, like that's the rainbow. When we talk about going over the rainbow, it's like, where do you go through your reflection into who you truly are, and what does it take to get there? So I think we used a lot of that just because it was in all the conversations of every scene. It's your point of view, it's your perspective, it's how you see things, and then when you actually readjust your focus, it's how you see yourself. So that was something we played with a lot, and the fact that everything we wanted in Oz, the structure nature of Oz was circular, always complete, never ending, that sort of infinite. And but in my mind, when the wizard came in, actually I think Oz naturally is the O and the Z. Nature is both perfection and chaos, and out of that creates this beautiful. So I always see it as like the grass between the concrete. This beautiful thing where we live, and when I think when power comes in, they control it, and they took out the messiness, and they made it really clean and consumable. And so everything, even in Shiz, you see remnants of this past, but it's structured in this circle. Elphaba is the chaos in this that they don't want again. You cannot have the Z in Oz, because that then will create this freedom and this justice that the power doesn't have control over. And so, but that's the natural state of Oz. So I always saw Elphaba's presence as the emergence of this nature coming through. Even on the, and nobody ever talks about this, but on the grimoire itself, I wanted 3 images that are hidden within the roots. If you look at the cover, there's the Ozians, the human, there's the tree of nature, and there's the animals. And all 3 of them are what make this tangled mess work, and that it's not about being happy or delighted or that everything's okay and someone's going to give you a path and give you your dream. It's about that messiness is what gives what forges you to be the best you can be. It is that it doesn't have to be. It's not about happiness. And so, as much as the wizard has painted like, don't worry, no fears, all this stuff, the villain and the fears are over there and we are perfect, that it's actually the only way to get better is to have this sort of instability and constantly be searching for who we are. It's like faith. Like if you knew, then that wouldn't be called faith. But if faith is like you believe in this invisible force that's calling you home, and you're going to strive for that, and that's going to make you rise to that image. So anyway, that's a long-winded way of saying that these were all part of sort of the imagery and the things that we'd think of. And Alice and I all talked a lot about that, of frames and where we were, and the reflections we saw and the colors that we saw in those reflections, and even in the dark and the light, that the truth was in the darkness and the lie was in the light.
Yeah, that's amazing. And shadows play a big part in this film as well, which is really cool. I know you shot both films back to back, and that's really interesting in the sense that you've had time in between that shoot that has passed by in your life, and then you're in the edit of Wicked for Good, and time has passed since you shot that footage. Is there a difference in editing Wicked, the first film, right, kind of closer to when you shot it, versus editing Wicked for Good, which is a little bit further away from when you shot it? And did any of your own life experiences alter how you ended up wanting to edit the second film, because you lived more of a life in between those two moments?
Well, when we started this journey, it was a big choice to cut it into two and make movie one, but we needed to do it to commit to this story was what, the one side of the mirror was, and this would be the other side of that. As soon as we did that, it freed me up and gave me the room that I felt like necessary to really play the themes out and these characters out the way we needed to be. So when we got back from shooting, we shot, again, one day we'd be shooting Shiz, and the next day we'd be doing For Good. It was insane.
That flip-flop is incredible, because you're in two different tones.
Yeah.
Because Wicked for Good is a very different tone than the first Wicked film.
Yeah.
So that's, to me, the beauty of a director. You have to give the actors where they are in the linear storyline.
And when you have smart actors, and usually it takes more. I mean, this is the first time Ari's ever led a movie before. Cynthia, this is the first time she's crossed over those two time periods in one go in two movies. I mean, it's the first time for all of us. But so we were linked arms, and we're like, okay, what day is this? Where are we? And we had it on the wall. We had a map of the emotional parts of where we were, so we could pinpoint. And we had pick points for each character of when did they ask the first question of their reality? When did they act on their first question of reality? And then when did they move forward from that into a new image? And so we had these sort of like broad sort of pick points for us, and so that was very tricky. Now, once we finished shooting, and this is just not them, this is costumes, this is set, this is makeup, this is everybody had to be on the same page, and we had to have this all planned out before we shot one frame of this movie.
Wow.
Not just that, the technical parts of building the sets to be ready before we ever started shooting a frame of this movie. Not everything fully ready, but everything designed so we knew what we were doing. Then everything choreographed in those spaces. And then, 20-something musical numbers, choreographed, staged, looked at by all of the heads of departments, costumes, knowing how they're going to do the shoes. The thing, you have to know the floor in order to know the shoes. You have to know, is that that beam can support a human being, or can that be a hollow? So, and then how does the camera move in that? What equipment do you need? All of that before you even shoot anything. And so we had to, we didn't get it all perfect, but we had to get it as far as we can and then just start shooting. So by the time we finished, and we have a process, our editorial's there, so they're cutting things while I'm going, but I'm not watching a lot. I usually do, but it was intense every day. Like, you miss a day, you're screwed. We're shooting For Good today. I can't think about the edit that I'm going to think about in 2 years.
Yeah.
And so we had to do all that. I finished, and when we got back shooting after almost a year and a half, a little bit of actually shooting and prepping, I needed to know the whole story. So I tasked our post to cut both.
Oh, you did one big cut?
Two movies, but two assemblies at the same time.
Wow. How long was that?
I don't remember at the time, but it was more than 4 hours, probably like 6 hours, 7 hours, something like that. And they cut both, so I could sit down. I usually have to show my first cut of one of the movies at 10 weeks. That's like sort of like the DGA minimum. For me, I was like, hey, studio, I want you to actually be on this ride with me. Give me 15 weeks, and I'll show you both movies. But I don't want to hear one note about movie 2. I don't want to hear anything about movie. I just need you to see it. I need to go through this process. We can talk about movie 1, but I do not want to talk about movie 2. And so that's what we did. So, 15 weeks after we got back from shooting, I had both movies. And so I knew the tone. I wanted to understand where we were headed. I need to know everything was intentional. Do I need to bring anything over? I need to know the lay of the land. Then we put movie 2 to the side, and I didn't watch it until January of this year. I didn't watch movie 2 till after the other movie came out, and through all the award stuff. So it was actually really nice to come back to it and look at it with fresh eyes and not start at 0, but start at like a 2. And it did change. A lot of things changed.
I want to bring up another clip because I was in the theater watching this scene, and it's just pure magic. Yeah. It's like pure magic. And we'll take a look at the clip and then I want to talk about it. But this is from Wonderful with Jeff Goldblum, Ariana Grande, and Cynthia Erivo. Take a look at this, and then I want to ask about Alice Brooks' cinematography in this scene. It's incredible. Take a look.
Trust me, it's fun. We will be wonderful. You'll make me wonderful. Wonderful, wonderful.
Oh, what a moment. I have to take 1 second here to say something. To sit here with the director of a film watching a scene from your movie, this is not lost on me. I'm gonna like get teary-eyed because I've always wanted to sit down with a filmmaker and like discuss the film and actually see it and then watch you watch it. It's just, this is amazing to me.
Come on over, we'll do this all day long.
I'm like truly like
my wife
blown
is like,
away.
I do not want to talk about this movie anymore. So
Dude, call me anytime.
go.
I will meet you here and we'll talk for hours about Wicked. That scene is incredible, and obviously I want to talk about your relationship with Alice Brooks because you've worked together for so many years. She's one of my favorite cinematographers working today. She's absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
But your conversations with Alice, I would imagine, are very narratively driven.
Yeah.
Because every shot needs to be storytelling. It's not just to look cool.
Yeah.
There's great shots in that sequence when we're following Ariana and Cynthia and Jeff around in those circles. They're amazing immersion tools that we feel like we're right there with them, but we also feel the characters that are on the other side of those moments. Talk about your narrative conversations with Alice, but also specifically with that scene and kind of the holding of the hands and kind of how you decided how you wanted to shoot that.
yeah, I think the misconception of my movies and with Alice is like, oh, these are like visually big, crazy tools and stunning images and all this stuff. And actually, we don't talk about that at all. Like, if you look at our setups and how we do it, it's actually pretty old school. Like, we're not using the latest and greatest toys at all. I mean, what we talk about is what we're trying to feel at that moment, what it feels like to be swept away in your childhood dreams again, going back into your childhood room and looking at your toys again and smelling that room again. What does it make it feel like? And it can be dizzying sometimes. And then you wake up and you see, oh, that was a life that existed, not a life that is. And so that's what we talk about. And so I said, okay, when we come into there, and she's so involved, not just in the camera itself, but like how we design everything with Nathan Crowley, with our choreographer, with Chris Scott. So we're all very close. I think the other misconception is, we've worked all together for so many movies and so many years that, it's about comfort. It's not about comfort. It's about actually being able to feel uncomfortable with each other and knowing that we have each other's back. Like, we can actually be more daring because it's not about, this is going to be fun and easy, because you know what I like. And no, it's like challenging each other. Like, they have permission to challenge me and I have permission to challenge them. And so a scene like this is, I get to talk about not, hey, what equipment are we using to make this dizzying? It's about like, here's what I'm trying to feel. What do you think in this room? I wanted to feel like when I was growing up, my room had rainbows all over it. I was obsessed with Rainbow Connection, and my mom, at 5 years old, they were redoing my wall, and they're like, you get to pick any of these wallpapers. And so I was flipping through, and I saw rainbows. I was like, Rainbow Connection, like Kermit and the thing. And so I had rainbow in the thing, and I had like raindrops in my bathroom, and it only changed like 5 years ago when they decided to change my room, so I could never go back. But that's okay. Another story. So I love this idea of walking into this giant space, because one of the hardest part, Wonderful is a hard song that in the show is almost a one-man show. It's the wizard walking around, and it's hard. Why would she go back to the wizard? So because I believe these characters more in a movie, and I needed to like seam it up. we added Galinda into the scene, which is she is not in the show, because the only person that could convince her would be Galinda. And so we had the scene where they come together, and then they come in, and she comes into this conversation with the wizard. And it was the personal connection with that. We added this whole unlimited, imagine what we could do together. So, repeating the things that Elphaba had said to her in movie 1. This is a second chance, that you can do this in a different way. You don't have to be alone. To me, that's what actually the scene is really about. And so when she sort of is starting to crack open, then the wizard comes in and say, imagine what you could do, and opens up into this, what seemed like this dark place, into this magical carousel. And I love the dizzying aspect of that. Alice and I were like, we want it to feel like you're getting lost in it, and even the voices are like crossing over. And so Karsten, our A-camera operator who's in Steadicam, and God bless him, because we run the Steadicam like crazy.
Yeah.
And we always warn our Steadicam operators, like, are you ready? Like, we'll do takes over and over without cutting. You have to tell us when you're like, I can't do it anymore. And Carson's a big guy. He's like, of course I can. And so he's like, they can grab my hand. So that spinning thing, they're holding his hand. He has a Steadicam, and they're holding his arm, and he's spinning around with them.
Ariana and Cynthia and Jeff are holding
our Karsten's
Wait,
hand.
how does it
They go,
show me how
well,
this
his
works?
camera's here, and they're going
Yeah.
one by one, so they're not like,
Right.
and he's going like this, and he's spinning around, and we're going
That's
around like that.
so
Yeah, it's
sick.
like, and so and it was fun for them. They got to do that, but also sound-wise in the edit. What we're trying to tell the story of is the wizard is infiltrating this sort of friendship and sort of manipulating. And so by having the words of the wizard, we changed the lyric to "You'll make me wonderful," which is not the way it was written before. Stephen Schwartz brilliantly changed it. And so then to have that over the frame of Glinda laughing, and have Glinda's voice over the wizard's, and having this dizzying moment for us was like this feeling of she's getting lost in the sauce. And so this is the real intention of something that feels so wonderful and glamorous, but actually there is a story manipulation happening, this darker sort of gaslighting that's happening by the wizard, and she sort of has to shake herself out of it. But
this is the mind of a brilliant filmmaker. Like, I'm being serious. Like, I don't know if people truly understand what goes into something like that.
Yeah.
Like, you are a magician.
and there not supposed to understand it.
Yeah, but you're supposed to feel
not
it.
even like know that it's happening,
Right, you
especially
feel
in a musical. If you're aware of it, that's what. But the reason why I think they're connected, is because of these little things that we do.
It's like that Christopher Nolan quote from Tenet: "Don't try to understand it, feel it."
Yeah,
yeah.
exactly,
I always think
I love
about that. I want to talk about the live singing, and I also want to show some props. But I want to use For Good for this conversation. And obviously, we've heard parts of For Good in the trailer. We're not going to show that scene today, but there's a vulnerability to that scene that I think is brilliant. It almost feels like we shouldn't be seeing it, and we're peeking in a way. And there's a raw element to that. And I think that's also one of the scenes where we go from dialogue to singing we'll see that in one shot in a way. From an editing perspective, so since the actors are singing live on set, Ariana and Cynthia are singing in that moment, can you talk about just like your choice of how to film that, making it more vulnerable, making it more intimate? Because one of the things I can say about this film that I think is incredible is you balance intimate and epic at the same time, which is not an easy juggling act, because we have to believe this massive grand world, but then feel these grounded reality of the characters. Talk about how you approached For Good, but also how that works on set when the actors go from dialogue to singing. Because the beauty of the musical, as you said earlier, is the songs help the actors and characters express something they can't through normal dialogue.
Yeah. I think when you're doing a movie of scale and scope, you have access to that. I think when those things start to dictate what a scene should be, that's where you get into trouble. I've done that before. I've been in the situation, and thank God I've done movies of all sorts of things to get to Wicked, because I don't think I understood this. You have to sort of go through the experience of that machine, because the temptations are too much. Hey, we can add an explosion here. Yeah, do that. Wait, we can have a tank come rolling through. Oh, that would be great. The score can be really big. And what if when the rocks come down, we just hear it so, yeah. And then you come, and this monster is in front of you. You're like, I don't know what to feel at all. And this has now become about those things. And what I've learned in my lessons over the years is that when you're taking on a big movie, you actually those are avenues of expansion, but you have to be as clear and specific as possible, and so that the avenues to expand come from that. For Good is a great example, because I didn't know it has to serve many things in this movie. It can't just be a song. In the show, it's built as it's the most structured as a pop song as possible, with the verse, chorus. It is a song. It is not a musical theater song, and it's been covered in every way possible. You've seen it in acoustic, you've seen it with strings, you've seen it with the big orchestra, you've seen it in different genres. So how do you end a 2-series epic saga of a movie where they're expecting defying gravity? How do you end this thing on a song that when you speak it and you look at each other is this big? Is the audience, even though they love the song and love what it's saying, do they actually want that at this moment? Not that it matters what they want, but does it feel, you want to feel fulfilled for this journey? How do you get that?
Have they earned it?
Have they earned it? Have we earned it?
Yeah.
What I love about working, what I found over the years, is when you work with actors and crew who are building from the ground up, that you surrender your pre-existing ideas and you follow the lead, you follow the emotion of where the characters need to go. Was I self-conscious about it even on the day? Absolutely. Did I have cranes ready? Did I shoot cranes? Hell yeah. Did I have things sweeping across? Hell yeah, because I have to protect myself too.
Wow.
I saw them in rehearsals, and when they spoke it, it felt like it was just a scene. But at the same time, I need to make sure the movie holds this last moment. So I had to have everything ready. But on the day of, and it depends on who you have, but Ari and Cynthia singing comes out like it's out of their pores. When she says, I heard it said that people come into your lives, like that, when you watch her, you cannot take your eyes away. She's so precise in this and soft. And no matter what she was feeling before, and the sort of the complicated nature of seeing her friend leave, at that moment, she's so focused on saying, it's going to be okay. She can almost sense, like, I know you're scared and you're doing this and I'm scared. But like, I just want you to know, like, I believe in you. You can do anything and you're going to be okay. She's not even talking about herself yet. It's a selfless act to her. When you have that shot, there's no way you can cut away. I had the option to. You can't. And then the question is, well, I need to see Elphaba, because her reaction means so much. And you either are doing a 2-shot where you're cutting off someone's face, half of their face, or you're coming around and you're getting just a little glimpse of it, or you're helping us understand that in whatever shot you're in, you're feeling the other person by their breathing, by their sniffles, by whatever it may be, without overdoing it. And when are you picking just the right moment to cut to Elphaba? So you really have to look at the words. When are we cutting to El? And that was. I mean, we went back and forth. But Myron, that's his gift.
Who worked with you on Crazy Rich Asians?
Yes,
and
in
the
the
Heights. Yeah.
He knows these moments that it's his magic potion in his mind, that he knows the moment to cut to go see Elphaba. When she hears something that we think this is about Glinda, but what she's saying, then you cut to Elphaba and you're like, oh no, this is for Elphaba. And Elphaba realizes that too, and she takes it and she breathes in. But then you got to get back to Glinda, because she has more to say. And she's going to say this thing, and right when she says the thing that impacts Elphaba, then you cut to Elphaba. I mean, it is a very delicate dance. And that we just built from there out. Asking for forgiveness. What does that look like? What does that feel like? Who are we seeing? And there is a moment where it sweeps up and we do the spin around as big as we get, although we have bigger shots than that. And we tried them. But that song played so well in that. We're like, we're going to bet on it. Because I think these girls earned it. I think we earn it. And then they have this moment in the closet, which it's like my favorite moment in both movies, in all things. Because that was found in rehearsal. That was not scripted. Initially, that was them. When I watched them rehearse, we speak it first, and then we start to sing it out loud. We just have a pianist, and it's just me and them. There's nobody else in the room. And they did the scene, and I didn't call cut on it. I just let them go, because they will just keep going. That was sort of philosophy. Just live in it, and I'll tell you when to stop. And so they just kept going, and she brings her into a space, and she closes the door, and she says stuff to her, and she was just pouring her heart out to them. It was the moment that the song is resisting them, there's creeping them strong, and then the door, as soon as they close the door, they could let it all out. And I'm watching this alone in the room with them, and I'm just weeping, like, oh my God. And she's saying all this stuff, and I was like, I don't know what just happened, but that is the scene. And so allowing them the room to have that in this, and to build then the closet of where they were going to be. And we didn't have that split door shot. We had to knock down the wall. I was like, we got to get rid of that wall. I want to see them, just like in What Is This Feeling, revisit the frames. But this time they're separated, and it's a physical thing, and they cannot break it anymore. It's forever closed. They're like, well, if you knock that down, you can't ever use this set again. And we're like, screw it, do it. And we did it, and we got it in, and their performance is amazing in it.
I think everything you just said can be summed up in listen to your movie.
Listen to your movie.
Because if you don't, because your movie's speaking to you, in that way, and you're pumping the music into their ears, right? Like,
well, they have this. They have the pianist in their ears, and it depended on when or how they wanted it. Like the beginning stuff is very much the piano, because they want to be off tempo.
Oh, wow.
So they're finding, because usually the tempo sticks. If you're using pre-recorded score, it's on a tempo, and they cannot breathe. They cannot just pause.
Oh, wow.
But that's the magic when they're actually doing it. And so. And sometimes they have preference, like, I want to be right on this. This is too important. But this part, let me breathe. So we have a pianist right there. So the pianist starts it, and they're doing it. And at some point, that piano transitions into the actual BPMs of the song, so that they can actually catch in, because they wanted to be sort of committed to that. And then we would have other moments where it'd start to loosen again, and they would just our music team is amazing. They could do all the technical, they had a Pro Tool system right there that could connect them in and out the way we needed it to be. I could ask for anything, and we could make it happen in that time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. We're going to get to the props. I'm going to mention one more quick thing. One thing I thought was fascinating about the film that you can't really get on stage, and I've mentioned this to you on the first Wicked interview that we did. When you're on stage, like, you're editing and figuring out where you're going to look. In a movie, the camera can choose to be close up. So as you watch this film, a lot of the arcs are happening in the eyes of the characters and on their faces, and even without dialogue. Can you speak about the power of the camera in someone's face, and the idea of how eyes can tell us an entire story? Like, there are so many arcs that happen in this film, whether it be Ethan, everybody's. It's in the eyes. Yeah. And I don't know if you agree, but I feel like it's in the eyes.
Absolutely. I mean, what Michael Caine say, like, all the acting is right here.
Yeah.
Just right here. I mean, that's the thing that cinema can do that no other medium can do, be right here with them. So you have someone like Cynthia Erivo. She doesn't even know the power of her eyes. I mean, she knows, but she doesn't know.
Right.
Like, when I have that camera in there, I'm seeing everything. And then sometimes she will say to me, like, I feel like I need to say something here. I was like, you don't need to say anything. She's like, no, I feel she would say something here. I don't want her to disappear. I'm like, you are not disappeared in this scene. Like, you are the most prominent thing. And so it's fun to, like, show that to them. Like, come, look at the monitor, watch. I could just watch that. I could hear no dialogue and understand exactly what's happening. That's the power. So it's those are moments that absolutely drive this movie. But you have to have the right actors who are actually thinking and feeling the thing. If they weren't, I'd be cutting around, doing all sorts of stuff. But something like "And Couldn't Be Happier" for one of the most important songs in movie 2. It's all on Glinda, and I was like, I want to sit there, and I'm just gonna push in for as long as we can before it becomes, like, weird that I can't go anywhere anymore. And so any thought of something outside of where Glinda is, I'm gonna see. And she was so locked in, it wasn't even a question for her. She's like, okay, great. It's freezing cold. The wind is kicking. She has nothing up from her shoulders up. We have this parka on her, and we're like, okay, ready? She's like, yeah, she's so focused. And then she's shivering, and then they take off the parka. She's fine. She puts it up. They roll camera. Wind starts kicking in. Action. The track starts playing. She starts singing it, and it's her voice and her eyes and everything around her face. She has to hold it, and she has to be so present. And you watch that shot. It's amazing. This is why she deserves all the flowers. This is why Elphaba, Cynthia deserves all the flowers. They are relentless in these roles. They are fully immersed in them, and the camera cannot lie. when we're just holding there. Even when she talks about Nessa and sets up the, you know, the house and all that stuff, we're just on her. And we wouldn't be able to do that if they weren't delivering on their end.
And that's why Cynthia and Ariana deserve Oscars for this. I just wanted to say that genuinely. Let's take a look at some of these props because I know we got to get going here. But you actually brought some really cool stuff. Is that an actual yellow brick road?
This is the actual from Wonderful.
What?
Yes, it is. It's kind of squishy in this one. We had a squishier version for him in there. But
so how many of these did you actually build?
Oh, well, you know, the road is built. You know, there's like, this is like the ones that we would have stacked. So in the opening number, when in the Yellow Brick Road attack, they're piled and stuff like that. So we had them sort of like this. There are harder ones, there are softer ones.
So cool.
But it was fun. Even trying to find this yellow, the amount of paint and swats that I had to look at all on the wall was insane. Like,
That's
okay, that's neon yellow. That's not like that's too honey yellow. We need to find the Yellow Brick Road yellow.
That scene is so cool watching the construction.
Yeah,
it's so cool.
It's so fun,
and it's also some really good action in this film too. That particular opening is incredible to watch. But
yeah, we had to figure out like what is her power? Is it the broomstick? Is it her? Like how does she? What's her relationship with gravity? We talked a lot about. She has a relationship with gravity. Is her power? That the broomstick is a way to focus it, and it's sort of her wand that chooses her. But she has the power within her. So we were able to play that out in the action.
It's so cool. And speaking of subtleties, I mentioned earlier, like the subtleties that you think of, like the harmony switch in For Good.
Oh yeah.
Because in Defying Gravity, Elphaba takes the high, and I think she also takes the high in For Good.
Yeah.
All things we feel.
Yeah, and some of those things are things, because Schwartz and Winnie think in that way, and Mark Platt, they have built some of that stuff in. So we were able to be like, oh, if they're thinking like that, then we've got to up our game and think like this. So it's both of us. It's years and years of working it out, and then it's us being able to like implement that and 10x it in our way. It just put us in a frame of mind. Not every movie, when you come into it, has that frame of mind. Everyone's like, well, they're not paying attention to that. This one was like, we knew everyone was paying attention to every detail.
So cool. All right, what else we got?
Even the details of like the magazines that are on the shelf of we had to design every single one with a name and make sure that every article, this is empty, but we have articles. I didn't know this one.
Is that from the film?
Yes, this is the Fierro, I forgot I put it in here.
What?
This is the Fierro flower that he gives her, and she keeps on her shelf, and I was pressing it in here, and it's because it was falling apart.
My wife does this with flowers all the time.
Yes.
I didn't even know this was a thing until I met my wife.
Because it was falling apart. This is the one he gives her at the train station. And so I was like, oh, I'll frame it later, but it really has fallen apart.
Can we see this on camera?
Look at this.
That's so cool.
Look at that. Can we see that?
It's so fragile.
That is the poppy. Wow. That's crazy. So I forgot it was in here because I just grabbed this off my shelf. So I need to figure something out, but I don't know if I'll keep it in some way, but I'll try not to lose that one. But look, even they had to make a game on the back, a mazifying cornfield. I mean, the teams had to write and design this kind of stuff. I don't know if you saw in Dancing Through Life, there's a book called Forbidden Corn.
Is there?
And there was like this romantic picture of a munchkin with this lover, and it's really funny.
Shout out Nathan Crawley, by the way, who did phenomenal work.
Yes,
oh my gosh.
And Lee Sandalis, who's a set decorator who puts all this stuff together is really amazing. I mean, all our teams in that. Glamity Flare, Stylish and Green Carpet Highlights, and then but we had versions where these were all full with advertisements and everything. Oh, wow. The Winky Winkles.
Wait, like they actually like
narrow, sure, but these heels are so trendy you'll want more than one pair. Skinny and gorgeous, your feet will look so fashionable when you're headed out for the theater by Ozzy and Souls Inc.
The details.
Crazy.
These are things you won't even see.
You'll never see.
Yeah.
You'll never see.
Well, you're seeing them here.
Like all these. I mean, you can flip through all of these. It's crazy. We'd go on set and we would just read them, and they're so funny. They're
like someone
funny.
actually wrote these out. Like this is like legitimately cool.
Yes.
And by the way, this is blowing my mind because I remember growing up a Spielberg fan and knowing that he made films on Super 8 when he was a kid. And I bought one of these before my first interview with him ever, and I know that you have a connection with him.
Yes, of course.
Over the years, you went to, I think, the Terminal set?
I did go to the Terminal set.
And obviously he's been a mentor to you, but this camera, that's what the memory comes back to me on that.
This is what I shot. I wanted to do animation when I was young, and so I needed to have a Super 8 camera to do animation, ones that go frame by frame. And so this thing, I'll pull it out here.
This is your
I'm I'm missing the cord. Yeah, this is my actual one. And then you would attach this to look down on your things or look forward, and then you would click it. It was very hard to get one that could just take a frame by frame. So you just click it, and it would attach to a cord that I don't have anymore. And so that was that, and it was really fun. And there are still ones that I have not developed, so I can't wait to do that one day. That's where you put the little Super 8 thing.
This is so cool. I'm like, I can't believe what's going on.
Everything I shot was out of focus, basically, because I didn't know how to quite do that part. But this is.
Does it still work?
I haven't tried it in a long time.
For the Wicked for Good premiere, you should bring that
awesome.
on carpet and shoot the carpet.
Bro.
How long is a mag?
It's gonna be a job.
Yeah, dude.
That would be
come on, I'll be your DP for the carpet.
Yo.
Let's do this.
I still have my viewer, my splicer for I could do the whole thing. Nathan Crowley loves to 3D print, so we had like an army, we got a whole room, floor of 3D printers, and so every model, instead of cutting out foam, which is usually done, he could redo these things so quickly. They would design it, and so this is like the head. Part of the head, this chipped off, but part of the head that they would design, and we would put it up. And we actually had a mini version, because we built the big head fully, and it was all mechanical. We had like 5 guys doing the remote control of it, and the engineering was incredible on this movie. And so they made a mini version first, because we had to. The big question was, how many points of expression could you have on his face? And so the budget depended on how much I needed, and so it played a lot. So we needed to have that. We could have done it all CG, but this was about like, no, we need to feel the physical presence of the wizard's head, and so that's where we all sort of started from that. And I have some like little details, like the tickets for the train station. I used to have my Emerald City ones, but I don't know where this went. But there's like even wiki.
Wait, this coin says Oz on it.
Oh yeah, these are all Aussian coins.
That's
we need
so
to have
sick.
them. So these have like the little.
Look how good, like the detail on this.
Yeah, different versions of it.
I know we got to wrap up. I'm just.
Yes.
This is like so crazy, but also this is also important. I wanted to show this real quick before we go. This was
on the Tin Man. It's on actually like right here, and I had close-ups of it, but it felt weird to see it and thing.
So this is on Ethan's
costume. Wow. Yeah, but it was also the pieces in the room become a part of who he is. So the tray he puts down is his shoulder blade. The cup that the teacup he has are the ears. The handles are the ears of him. So we wanted, even when he throws the wood into the fire, you see what's in the fire is where his heart is. So everything's connected in there, and that's not CG. His body is costumes. His hair, his face and hair is hair and makeup. This prosthetics is designed, and all his real face. We did a little cleanup, like if something was an edge or something, and then we did the joints in VFX, because we had to have blue just on the joints. To hide the idea that it was a costume, but everything else was like really physical, and he had to act through them, and you had to feel with him through those eyes, and that goes the same thing with the Scarecrow. How thick is the burlap? What's the density of the weave? Where does it fold? When does it become a horror film, and when does it become someone you're romantically involved in? What are his eye color? His eye color changes from one to the other. In the movie, his eyes are blue, which are not Jonathan Bailey's natural eye color. They're brown. So we decided to take the layer off when he. I don't know if this is a spoiler. Sorry.
You can use it in post. Yeah.
So we took the lens off in that, and so it's his actual natural eyes to give a little closer feel for who he is as a person. And so all these little things sort of go a long way. I brought the little train, of course, but that's sort of fun. And then this is a gift that. Very special gift that Ari got me when she got the role early on. This is just the case. This is not the actual thing. In here is a first edition, first state copy of The Wonderful Wizard of Oz.
And it smells really good, by the way. Just wanna.
It smells old. I'm not even allowed to open it like past that, but you can sort of see how beautiful the colors. The Denslow drawings are something that we.
Oh wow.
Very much inspired us in her design and all these things. There are animals sort of like that and things like that. So
it's gorgeous.
It's just beautiful. So I don't have a proper place for it yet. I'm going to build a whole shelf and a protective layer to it. But for right now, it hides in this little case.
Well, I think that's a good note to end on. I know that you're super busy, and I know you're about to go on a whole tour for this film, but I want to say thank you. This has been such an honor.
No, of course, thank you.
Like, genuinely, as a kid, I've always wanted to do something like this. So So thank you for the time today. I genuinely appreciate it.
Thank you. And I love watching all your videos and learning craft even from watching your videos.
You don't learn anything from me.
It's fun. I like when people talk. I love, because I don't know what other people's techniques are. I never PA'd on someone's set. I never was someone's assistant. I never saw any of that. So it's really fun to see how other directors do it. Because I'm like, oh, that's a better way than I do it. I guess we all have our different ways to get there. So
Well, I appreciate it, Jon.
Thank you.
Good seeing you, man.
Appreciate it.